Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Patrons video today that I'm making for Arsi as part of their custom monthly music review. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen. This is from an act named Beast in Black titled Blind and Frozen, so we're going to listen through this track from start till finish. We're going to hear what we think. We've got the track on the screen in full view, so let's go, let's do it. What have we got today, Arsi? What have we got? Synths and wind foley. Kind of reminds me of Judas Priest a bit. I like the kind of mixture of Judas Priest and Nightwish that we have at the moment. Oh, that guitar tone is wonderful. It's anthemic, isn't it? And that extra kind of bar there to appreciate that major chord at the end. Wait in the name of love, you know, like that positivity there, that hope for things to change despite the pain we're feeling, you know. Very effective. And the offbeat hi-hats as well, it's like a dance groove, you know, it's very catchy. Sorry to interrupt, you can just hear he's harmonizing in those higher octave. That head voice there is wonderful. He's a really great singer, and the rest of the band is keeping up with him. And a solo section. This is just a tremendous handoff for one soloist to another, right? They've got slightly different styles, but they're incredibly competent with their instrumental performances, and it's just this wonderful coloration. You know, you think the vocals are that huge, and then they just completely up the ante further with those guitar solo sections. It's wonderful. And the peppy synths in the background are the icing on the cake, man. It's almost operatic, isn't it?
Miss you like hell, I was wrong, I can tell, for the heart can be blind and frozen. Now I live with the pain every night, every day, as I read those letters you wrote me. Gonna miss you like hell, I was wrong, I can tell, for the heart can be blind and frozen. Now I live with the pain every night, every day, as I read those letters you wrote me. How I long for the time when your lips would kiss mine and the promise was still unbroken.
It's just, it makes you like feel pumped up, right?
Never come, I will wait in the name of love.
Oh, it's stunning. It's tremendous. They have mastered the art of this kind of synth metal stuff. Is it operatic metal? It's not operatic metal, is it? Symphonic metal. That's it. Is it symphonic metal? Beast in Black 2017, directed by Ville Lepian Plain. And I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm butchering that. I think that this is a tremendous song. I'm really glad I had the opportunity to review it, but we're listen through it, but we're going to talk about it more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Beast in Black, titled Blind and Frozen. Now, what do I think this track is about? I think it's about someone who is looking at this lover they used to have, blind and frozen. It kind of makes me think that maybe they misunderstood what they saw in front of them as something else, or couldn't see that love or that affection or that care. And they were frozen in the sense that they couldn't do anything about it anymore. They had the opportunity to be able to change or maybe amend things at a time, but that is now past. Things have sort of like gone for the worse, potentially. You get the inference in the video that maybe that woman just that the letter just did not get to the guy in time. The woman just was frozen in bed. She was just too alone. She needed that person to be there for them, and she was frozen there. She sort of like, maybe sacrificed herself or suffered because of that loneliness there. It's really brutal, but I think that the story kind of will resonate with a lot of people who maybe, appreciate how important it is to love that special someone, to let them know how you feel and to not take that person for granted, but also to be careful when you decide to part ways with someone, because you never know what the consequences might be for doing that. Whether, if you want a break, you got to say it's a break, right? And even then, you got to be careful with the consequences. But either way, I think it was a really compelling story. The singer was wonderful. They have phenomenal pipes. They are very tuneful. They had a phenomenal vocal technique and hidden chest voice there. A bit of vocal fry in the chorus parts as well. We harmonized really neatly with the mids as well as the falsetto highs there. Oh no, just the head voice, that power metal stuff. Again, it reminded me of Judas Priest, but it had again those symphonic melodic metal kind of elements there that I appreciate. Those synths and everything like that were just tremendous, and it was so charismatic and peppy and endearing. You wanted to get involved in the story they were telling. You could tell how much they really gave a shit about what they were doing. They really cared about it, so it made it all the more interesting to hear their story. There was lots of variation to the vocal melodies there. The chorus was there was a repetition there of the sequence melodically there, but there was enough variety across there with like the middle eight and everything like that. There were sort of things that almost become cliched if you don't put enough attention into the songwriting and composition and everything else, but they managed to avoid that. They did tremendously well with this. I think that outside of the vocal performance and how well it expressed the lyrics, I think the track at 5:16 is wonderful. We had an exemplary display of musicianship across the various instruments involved, those being, typically the bass guitar, the keys, as well as the drums. All of these different instruments were put forward really elegantly in a way where they had phenomenal cohesion and chemistry. The performance instrumentally itself was incredible. They're very tight musicians. They really know what they're doing. You can tell they were ready to record when they did. And there was a lot of really appropriate expression. I really appreciate what they were trying to accomplish here. It was a vibe that was consistent from start to finish, with the variations in the intensity and dynamic range of it. And it made sense. The journey made sense. The transitions between structures, the pauses there. There was a lot there to appreciate and keep the listener engaged, and they didn't ever falter. It was well done. If I talk about a few of the instruments that I liked to listen to, one of them was the guitar. I appreciated the simplicity of some of those power chordal harmonies on in the rhythm sections, but also it's the guitar solos when they came in later on there, going from one to the other were absolutely tremendous. Clearly they could play the six strings, but they did so in a way where it was respectful of the space required for the singer to perform at their utmost. And it was more sort of trying to be in keeping with what was happening with the synth keys, like what was happening with the bass, etc. The guitar simultaneous was heavy as hell. It was catchy. It was, it did well harmonically. There were no weird sort of situations where I felt uncomfortable there. I knew when to be there and when to sort of stay away. And ultimately, they served the purpose really well. But again, the phrasing in the solo section there, the technicality, the proficiency there was very, very impressive. So they ought to be proud of themselves for the solo work there. And the fact they traded off between the two was cool as well. The drums were wonderful as well. They provided this wonderful ground bed where we pocketed when we needed to with some interesting eighth note grooves, including some interesting sort of off-note parts there, or offbeat parts on the hi-hats and such. The tom work was, the dexterity involved in some of those fill-in sort of cymbal patterns was to die for. It was great. We had a great sense of pace and consistency there. We kept in time. We allowed the rest of the instrumentalists to keep in time with us. We allowed for what they were doing was trying to give ourselves our own identity. And I think we absolutely slammed it out of the park there. Very impressive. I think in addition to that, we had a band where, the bassist as well, on top of the fluidity there and the talent of the drummers and guitarists, the bassist as well was just in the zone, and they slammed it. They were very, very, very good about staying near the root notes and being very respectful of those core progressions and with the chords and such, but they did so in a way which gave a sense of kind of like importance to the drums, and without that tie, that connection between the mids and lows, and they did very well. And the synths as well were incredible. There was a lot of color to the various synth patterns, where there were pads or they're sort of like more peppy kind of lead, kind of not mooga stuff. There's a bit of sizzle to them, but ultimately, there was a nice mid to high range resonance there that behaved well with a lot of the guitar parts, and tremendous. They were trying to be fun. I think the synths were trying to be fun and add a sense of kind of zazziness and poppiness to a track where if you didn't have them, it might sound a little bit cold, even with a lot of the efforts, like compositionally. Like, I want to talk about the theme, because I think that this track could have been very morbid and kind of heavy and uncomfortable. I think the way to summarize the main theme is that love part in the name of love. To have that major chord there, for them to be struggling and blind and frozen, but still waiting there for that opportunity to have that moment with that person is incredible. And I think the major chord at the end offers some hope for their situation there, as if they're never going to give up on that. And it's anthemic. And it's just the little things there. It's how you resolve a progression to let the listener know what's going to happen next. You can do whatever you want after that, but you've made a very strong statement. And you want to make the right statement because they've got another 2/3 of the song to listen to after that hook. I think that there was some dance-ish elements to it with the sort of offbeat cymbal patterns there. And there was also some incredibly sort of like colorful lead playing there, which suggested a sense of intensity there dynamically as well as compositionally, but they balanced those out with some really polished, they managed to blend pop and middle really well here in a way that made a lot of sense in all facets. And I don't think there's a note out of place there. Just, great choice of chord progressions. Things weren't too overly complicated harmonically, and they just found the right spaces to fill. The studio recording, mixing and mastering, though, was the icing on a cake. It was such a full-sounding mix there. The vocals had great presence. They were nicely compressed and treated. The guy they could just sing as well, so they didn't need to worry about sort of like doing any sort of like extra processing to fix it. They were just great vocal takes. But it's also the guitars, drums, bass, and keys were well leveled in the mix. There was no weird resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum there. Things were well sort of niched in their places, but it was nice and wide in the stereo field as well. And it's like little things like the Foley that we had at the start of the track there. I think that was wonderful there. And just like the kind of electronic drums at the start as well, with the do. It's a little bit quiet. It's like, oh, I wonder what's going to occur next, and then boosh, everything comes in, and it's just a master stroke there. We didn't just slam people with it. Like, it wasn't like there was intro core, but it was like a kind of you were trying to sort of like get people sort of slowly build them up for it, and then bam, you got the reward for that trepidation, that wait there. They played the listener's expectation not just from a compositional perspective, but also from post-production and the way they presented the instruments both in the stereo field and in the frequency spectrum in terms of leveling and with the use of Foley to create atmospheric elements they it made the song sound cold, which for a track named Blind and Frozen makes complete sense. It's very clever. It was nice and loud without pumping, so the bass compression and limiting was handled, and that's effectively my very positive review of this track from an act named Beast in Black, titled Blind and Frozen, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show us the love via the various social medias and the YouTube page. Stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SC Patrons video. Spiderhands out.